Stormy weather for Auckland and high pressure is expanding elsewhere. Hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, it's been a wild night in Auckland with thunderstorms, torrential rain and easterlies blowing up to gale force at times. So let's try and explain just what is going on for the Auckland region, because we've got this stormy weather but no storm. Let's take a look at the animated wind map, and this is showing two air pressure systems that are working together to make this windy weather. There's a low just off the west coast of Northland and Auckland. It's a very weak low. The air pressure is technically above average air pressure, so it's not your normal low. It was a storm last week near Sydney, near New South Wales. It moved across the Tasman and weakened over the weekend, and now it's arrived and it's got a little bit of energy as it sort of remains there, just parked off the coastline. This high to the south, dredging up a cold southerly that comes in as an easterly, and it's the combining nature of that low and some air pressure moving around there, warmer airflow, mixing in with that cooler airflow that's producing all sorts of interesting weather. So this zoomed in map from IBM helps make a little bit more sense of what is going on. So you've got the low parked off the coastline. It's a fairly weak low pressure system. If it wasn't for the high, it wouldn't even be windy in Auckland really at the moment. But because there is this building high pressure, you got this cooler airflow mixing in with this milder airflow. The warm and the cool creating thunderstorms, not as many this morning as we had last night, and they're also shifting a little bit further northwards now to northern parts of Auckland. The other part of the two airflows joining together, and we take a look here with the enhanced rain radar courtesy of IBM and Weatherwatch. This shows these big downpours this afternoon still continuing, but shifting north of Auckland City, getting up more towards Orewa, Whangaparoa, those sorts of areas. This is also what we call training, like a train on the railway tracks, one carriage after the other coming in a straight line. This is the same thing. And these yellow blobs, one after the other, are basically the halfway mark between those two airflows merging, and it really enhances and lifts up those rain clouds. So we still expect more big downpours, rural North Auckland most exposed, and the very eastern coastline where coincidentally those winds are blowing up to gale force today as well. So there is a lot going on. But as we move through the rest of today, this is Tuesday, the rest of this afternoon, the low 10-15, very weak. The winds are being pushed a little bit further northwards and the rain clouds are breaking up. The bulk of the rain around sort of the Northland-Auckland boundary, and also the rain clouds are breaking up in Auckland enough to get some sunny spells coming back in. But it will stay windy for the rest of Tuesday. Now let's cover the rest of New Zealand. Thanks for tolerating us South Islanders and the rest of the North Island. Here is the forecast for Wednesday, and we've still got some windy wet weather in the north, but it's a lot weaker than it was today, and mostly north of Auckland City. Still a couple of showers lingering around the eastern side and maybe one or two on the west coast as a nor'wester develops there. By Thursday, not a great deal of change, a bit of a cool morning in the South Island with high pressure. That system leaves northern New Zealand, just a few showers to the north of you and maybe one or two around Northland and East Cape. Otherwise, Thursday is looking pretty dry across the country, and in fact the next several days ahead are drier than average for most parts of New Zealand. Now as we move in towards Friday, we've got some interesting weather over in Australia, Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart, I love how it says Torquay. Our maps, we don't choose the names, by the way, that appear on these maps. They are randomly decided by the actual map software, and it depends on exactly where we center the map and where we zoom in and all that bits and pieces, but it does throw some interesting ones every now and then, which I quite like. I like it when it replaces a main center with somewhere really small. But Friday does have a change coming through. There'll be some thunderstorms, I would imagine, over there. Pretty calm for New Zealand, just a few showers in the very east and around Gisborne as well. So let's go into the weekend now. There's a cold front coming out of Australia that will develop a new low pressure system in the Tasman Sea, developing on Saturday. That cold front moves into Sydney, nothing too spectacular, but it could generate a few thunderstorms as you go from being warm northerlies to colder southerlies, and that colder southerly affects Adelaide, Melbourne and Tasmania as well. But it's warmer in New Zealand. In fact, subtropical winds are starting to develop. So by the time we get to Sunday, mild winds from just south of Rarotonga and the Cook Islands coming down over the South Island and some parts of the North Island. So warmer than average by the time we get to this weekend, but there's a new low coming in maybe for next week. One last feature, these highs are pretty big, 1037, both of them. This time of the year is when we do get some of our biggest high pressure zones coming through, but being spring and not summer, you end up usually with something like that in between them, or weather like we're getting right now in Auckland. So that is all from me. It's been a very long night for us here in Auckland. More windy weather, as I say, across today. We'll be tracking the severe weather as it continues to blow through, so please do keep up to date with weatherwatch.co.nz, ruralweather.co.nz, which applies to Auckland suburbs and any city suburbs for that matter across New Zealand. And our next update will be on Wednesday, not only for New Zealand, but we'll have our next global weather update. We'll track the remnants of Hurricane Ida as it moves through parts of America, and also some hot weather with the cold change coming in for parts of Australia. That's all from me for today though. We'll see you on Wednesday.